this is a story that I came up to on Reddit. And so this guy, he's 28. His wife is older than him, 29. And he says, I'm at a loss with my wife. So let's read through this situation. So he says, I'm really in need of advice. My wife and I have been married for just over a year and together for close to 5 years. We have been having sexual compatibility issues. We are currently working on them. So every time I hear a guy say we have sexual compatibility issues, well, not every time, because sometimes it's legit. There are various things going on in her life. She's stressed, you're stressed. As you'll see in this story, there are some other things that could potentially be causing those issues. But I found more often than not, usually what's happening is the guy is constantly going to her, trying to ask for it and beg for it. And it's making the woman be less apt to want to do it because it's feeling more like a forced thing versus being her choice. But anyway, so he says, in the meantime, she is having trouble even kissing me. She will kiss me, peck or deep kiss a lot of the time, but mostly moves to put her cheek or forehead in the way. We used to make out a lot, and now she almost never does it unless we are in the middle of hooking up, but even more rare than hooking up is. But she rarely makes out with me even during a hookup. She insists up and down that she is attracted to me, but just doesn't have a desire for sex. She is changing birth control when her current prescription is up in hopes that it will help. And so this is a big factor, right? Because I remember years ago, I dated a woman who had an IUD put in and she lost a little bit of her sex drive. She got a little bit drier down there and she found her mood just kind of flatline a bit. And it wasn't until I decided to get a vasectomy and she got off of the IUD that her hormones and her sex drive came roaring back, like in a very, very strong way. And so this is why I tell guys, if you meet a woman and she's on birth control, before you even decide to get married to her, you need to ask her to get off birth control for like 2 months. The reason is because the decision of guy that women make about who they want to date when they're on birth control is usually different from a guy that she would choose if she wasn't. Birth control messes with hormones, it messes with her sensors. And so the things that she's sensing about a guy that she would actually want when she's not on birth control is different than when she's on birth control. And she could actually choose you as a mate when she's on birth control. And then let's say you guys have a kid, and then during the course of having the kid, she obviously gets off birth control. She has the kid, and now she realizes she doesn't want to be with you. And this happens a lot. Like if you notice that, there's a lot of stories about, I had a kid and then I just didn't want to be with him anymore. And it's because before you had a kid, they were on birth control. And now that she's off the birth control, her regular hormones are coming back and realizing this isn't the guy we want to deal with. Okay. So for all you guys out there, just telling you, get your girl off birth control, use condoms for like 2 months. I know it's uncomfortable, but do that before you propose, before you get married, because I'm telling you, birth control is making a huge difference. But beyond that, he says, besides not desiring having sex, in the meantime, sex is basically off the table or just a rare treat for me. But besides her not desiring having sex, her apparent aversion for making out with me is making me feel even less desirable. In the past, I brought it up to her a few times, asking her why she isn't making out with me, like full with tongue, but she always insists that she is. When it is a fact, she is not. This guy's really angry. She keeps her mouth tight and doesn't open it wider and just pecks me on the lips. I say that no, that's just kissing and not making out, but she insists it is. When we both know we actually had made out many times before. So he's trying to use factual knowledge of stuff to try to argue with his wife. If you're a guy, you should know by now, you trying to argue logic and reason isn't going to work on a person who thinks with emotion. So she doesn't feel as though in the past they made out, then that's her emotional truth, and that's what she's going on, and you're wrong. Not saying it's right, just saying that's how she's viewing it. So then he says she used to come up to me and just start making out with me for first couple of years of our relationship. So I don't understand why she would try to lie about something so obviously not true. This is getting long. Basically, she got defensive. She admitted sometimes his breath stinks, so go to the dentist. He made an appointment with the dentist, cleaned out his teeth, got breath mints, all that other stuff. Goes to meet her at her parents' house for dinner. And when he leaned in to kiss her, she pecked him again, went for it, but resisted. And then he asked why, and she said it's because they were in front of their parents' driveway and someone might see them, even though they're in the country. So he got irritated. She got upset. They had a small fight, and then they go to bed. So he says the story repeats a few times, and then it comes to today. I fantasize all day at work and am determined to make out with this woman whom I am so attracted to and love very much. I come home and do a couple of chores and go in the back to change. While I change, I rinse my mouth out with Listerine and check my teeth. I go out and we talk about our days. We hug and kiss. She comments and giggles about my minty breath, cheekily asking why I brush them. I foolishly assume she knew and was acting coy. I tell her I want it to be fresh for her. I go in for the kiss and she resists, just pecking my lips and starts talking in between kisses, clearly not wanting to make out. I pull back and she casually walks away to continue whatever she was doing like nothing happened. I go quiet as I'm upset that yet again, she won't even make out with me, her husband, for some mysterious reason. She asks me what's wrong. I tell her, and she says that we were making out. I just go quiet and walk out of the room. I am currently upstairs, avoiding the whole situation, and am about to cry. I get it. I've been in situations where, you're with a girl and you're thinking that the attraction should be there. You've been dating them for a long time, and all of a sudden it's like their sex drive changes, their mood changes, they don't want to do stuff. Typically, it means there's declining interest. That's not always the case, but that's usually the first thing I go towards. Like, there's some declining interest here. What's going on? Why is it happening? What is it that I'm doing? And we'll get into that in a second. So he says she confronted me asking why I was upset. I told her she knew why and that I would appreciate it if she didn't act ignorant. Oh, if you're going to try to talk with people, you can't try to call out them by way of using like names. Like saying to somebody, hey, I don't appreciate X, Y, and Z. That's one thing. Saying something like putting an accusatory, you're just not interested. You're just being ignorant. That is not going to win you over what you want. So then she said she is just afraid that making out will lead to sex. I told her that doesn't make sense because she barely makes out with me even during sex. I just don't know. After her revealing she doesn't desire sex, I didn't think I could feel more undesirable, but I was wrong. This is the most undesired I have felt in my life. She swears up and down she's attracted to me, but I'm finding it extremely hard to believe. My baby doesn't even want to kiss me. I'm just so heartbroken. I don't know what to do or what to say. So, and then he said she started acting this way shortly after removing her IUD and getting her birth control. So like I said, a big thing to look out for is the birth control aspect, because again, that can be a thing, right? So, but let's just say for argument's sake, let's say that the birth control wasn't a factor, right? We have a guy in a situation where a lot of guys find themselves, because inevitably, well, it shouldn't, but in a long-term relationship, it's very easy for the sex to die down a bit. And women will come on here and say this part, so I'm going to say this part also. As a guy, you got to be looking at how you've been showing up in the relationship. If you've been doing your part, if you've been doing chores, if you got kids, if you've been helping out with the kids in the house. They've only been married for a year, so that shouldn't be happening. But really, really look and assess it like, are all the things that you're doing in your end on the up and up to make her feel, at least, are you doing your part to where you feel as though you're legitimately doing the part you need to do as a partner to make her happy, right? So let's just throw that out there right now. You as a guy need to be mindful of doing your part. Now, if you're doing your part and this is still happening, then you got to look at this. And it's that a lot of times men will start going to the wives and they're the ones that are constantly initiating sex. You're the one constantly trying to talk about sex, trying to ask for sex, trying to beg for sex, all this other stuff, right? And when you do that, what you're subconsciously telling a woman is, I'm putting you on a pedestal. I think you're so great and wonderful, and I need to come to you and beg for your attention because you're the only attention I can get. And realistically, in a marriage, you're not allowed to step out without a lot of repercussions. So it is kind of that way. But it's interesting to note that it's like in a marriage, you have to know that that's a thing, that you can't go to anybody else, but still not act pressed if she's not giving you the full on. Because what I find is typically happening, it's not that your wife necessarily doesn't want to sleep with you, unless if she's losing interest, then yeah, she don't want to sleep with you. But what I found more often than not is that a lot of guys, they get into the situation where they're the ones constantly begging for sex, which means it is now not the woman's choice. She's not being given the room to actually approach you for hooking up. And as a result of that, she's feeling like, man, I don't get a chance to actually miss this guy. And if a woman doesn't have a chance to miss you, she's not going to have the chance to desire you and want to go after you. And I say that because what do I say on this show all the time? If she's chasing you, she can't be replacing you. And so even when you're married, you have to leave space for a woman to want to come to you, to want to show up at your bed with lingerie on, to come to you and rub your chest and like nuzzle up against you and like really cuddle close into you and even say to you, hey, let's go to the bedroom. I got to show you something real quick, right? But what most guys do is at the point they get married, they're like, yay, I'm married. I get sex all the time now. It's now demanded that I get sex all the time. And so it goes from this thing where like it was free before and like either person could choose to hit on the other person, whatever, to where it's like almost every day or every night, you're going to her and trying to start some stuff and trying to hook up some stuff. And in the process, you're not realizing that part of her desire for you is not knowing if you want to hook up with her, just being real, and also her coming to you as a way to say, hey, I want to hook up, because understand, women also, this is going to sound weird, women of their own accord need to feel as though they're still having to put work in to keep your attention and your attraction. And too many guys at the point they get married just say, yep, I'm going to tell her everything. I'm going to give her everything. She gets all my attention all the time ever. And they don't make their wives continue to work for their attention, right? So perfect example, right? Let's say if I'm dating somebody and I'm at home on the couch watching TV, right? At the moment that she walks in the door, maybe I don't just say, hey, babe, what's going on? Maybe I'm just like, hey, what's up? Keep watching TV. I don't get up. I don't greet. And it might seem cruel to do that, but what does that do? It makes her have to come over to me. So then she comes over to me. Hey, babe, what's going on? How was your day? Oh, I'm doing good. Just watching some TV. Oh, okay. And now she's like, crap, he's not paying attention to me. I got to now think of a way for him to like give me some attention. So maybe she starts rubbing on my neck a little bit or like kissing me on my neck. Oh, hey, babe, what's going on? Little hug, little kiss, back to watching TV. Now she's like, oh, what I got to do? Next thing I know, she's standing up. Oh, I had a great day at work. Pulls off her top. Now she's showing her bra. Like this is a scenario where I'm in a playful way, but just being me, I'm making her work for my attention. I'm making her work for conversation. I'm making her work in part because her ego, I know part of what feeds her ego is me desiring her and wanting her. And men don't like to hear this. If there's a slight questioning of that, it's going to make her have to work to get that attention. And that's the part that a lot of guys don't like, because they're thinking, I shouldn't have to do that. I should just be able to be honest and forthright and be, you know, if I want to be around her all the time, I should be able to say that and do that. Hey, I'm not saying it shouldn't be that way. I'm just telling you how I found it typically works. Even women that I've dated that have had a high interest, right? I remember one time I was dating a woman and she went out of town for a few days and I was trying to, we were texting each other a little bit here and there. And so I went to call her and she didn't pick up the phone. And I was like, interesting. She didn't pick up the phone. I know she's free right now. What's going on? And I just thought, okay, you know what? She's busy. It is what it is. Fine. So the next day comes. You know what I did? I didn't text. I didn't initiate any text. I didn't initiate any calls. I didn't try to call her back. Hey, you didn't call me, blah. I just left her alone because I figured, hey, she's off. She's with her friends. Maybe right now she just needs to be with her friends and not with me. It is what it is. So I let that go. Next day, later in the day, she's texted me a couple more times. I just left it cool. And then what happened? She got back. She banged my brains out. Now imagine if I had freaked out and been, oh my gosh, she's not texting me or calling, blah, blah, blah. It's like she needed that time to not see me because that allows her to rebuild up this desire for, oh, I really miss him. I want to see him. Oh, when I get back, I can't wait to whatever. But most guys would have freaked out. Why didn't you call me? Why did you text me? Oh my God, what's going on? You must hate me. Understand, women need that space. They want that space. They are dying to be able to tell their men, hey, could you just back up a little bit because I need space? To men, this does not make sense. If she likes me, why would she want me to leave her alone? And I'm trying to tell you, this is not anything that's going to logically make sense. This is what we're going to in terms of making emotional sense. It makes sense for her emotions to have to feel like she's missing you in order to desire you more and want to come to you for things like kissing and making out and having sex with you. Okay. Now, within that Reddit form, interestingly, I left him my thoughts on that. And I basically said, yeah, I said, you're not leaving room for her to come to you. Your whole story consists of, quote, I keep begging her to kiss me and have sex with me and she won't. The more desperate you are for it, the more pressure it adds to her and the less likely she'll want to do it. I said, to be fair, hey, she could be losing interest, but even with that, part of that could be because you're constantly pestering her for affection and she should be wanting to give it. But again, you have to leave room for her. So I said, guy, do this. I said, for the next 30 days, don't make a single physical move on her. That's right. Don't try kissing her. Don't try going for sex. Don't do any of that. I said, at best, go for some hugs here or there, but really, really don't try doing anything beyond that. And when you do it, don't look butthurt, because women can tell when you're butthurt, when you're sad, when you're upset about some stuff. You have to learn to be indifferent at least for these 30 days about if she reacts to you. You know, if she's not kissing you, don't act like you're mad about it or whatever. Just go through those 30 days as though you're on a kissing annex. Like it just can't happen, right? I said, give her a month to see if she starts trying to show you more affection of her own accord. If not, then you may need to consider having a different conversation. But yeah, and it's going to be scary. I'm telling you guys, the first time that I actually listened to the advice I'm giving this guy, I was dating this woman. She was half black, half Asian. She was a lawyer chick. She was really, really attractive. And we started out hot and heavy. You know, our second date, we hooked up, and I saw in the first week of dating her, we saw each other like 3 times, right? So what does that cause, people? It causes burnout. It causes overkill. And so by our 5th date, which is like within the 2nd week, we were already starting to have little arguments here and there. And then just in the course of dating, I kept wanting to see her. And I noticed that there'd be times where like, I knew she'd be home because at this point, we lived like a block away from each other. And she wouldn't answer the door. She wouldn't answer my phone calls, my texts, like none of that, right? So finally one day, I just went over there and knocked on her door. And she opened the door. And I could see she was just home. Like she was at the time studying for the bar, but she was also like, she was just at home chilling, right? Like cooking some food. And I was just like, I was trying to give her some good news that I had at the time about my career in terms of like being able to film for this like big celebrity in Hollywood. And so, but she answered the door and was like, dude, like, I'm not saying that we can't date anymore, but I'm saying like, I need some space. Like we've spent a lot of time with each other, and I have other things I'm trying to get to in my life. And so I just need space. I'm not saying we're over. I'm just saying I need some space. I just need a couple days to be with myself and just like, let me have that. And so again, me really liking her, I really didn't want to do that. But I was like, you know what? Me clearly being on like around her a lot isn't really making her want to see me more. So I'll just trust that if I just leave her alone, maybe she'll want to see me. And I said, okay, you know what? That's fine. My bad. I will leave you alone. And I walked home, and for the next, like, it seemed like a long time, but like for the next day and a half, I didn't reach out to her. I walked right by her place. I was on the bus at the time, so I would have to catch the bus to the bus stop that was like right next to her place and then just like walk home. And within 2 days, she hits me up. Hey, what's going on? Blah, 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 blah. Hey, I'm cooking some food. Wanted to see if you wanted to come over. Went over that night, and it was on a poppin'. And so what I learned from that is that, yeah, just because women are saying they want space, it doesn't mean that they don't like you. But as men, we take it as they don't like us, and then we wonder why these women are like ghosting us when really they just need more space. And so most guys aren't in the habit of giving women a lot of space. They're worried if they don't text right away after a date, they're going to lose the girl. If they don't try to see her 2 or 3 times that week, they're going to lose the girl. If they're not trying to talk to her nonstop about feelings, this and that, they're going to lose the girl. And I've learned from personal experience the good that can come from giving women space. On top of that, growing up and in my college years and even now, I've had a lot of female friends who I've got to see date, and I've got to hear them talk about guys that they were initially interested in, but then the guy was contacting them every day, trying to come by and see them every day, trying to spend the night every day. And hearing these women talk about how they just wish the guy would leave them alone for like a day, but they're afraid of saying that. Why? Because they know if they say that to the guy, he's going to get upset. He's going to be butthurt. He's going to think it means she doesn't like him, and then it's going to cause a whole fight. And she doesn't want to fight, but she just needs some space to herself, right? So what's interesting, I say that because within the course of these responses here, there was a woman that said, let's see, she said, after one of my comments, take sex off the table, blah, 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 blah. Oh, she said this. She said, I agree completely with this advice, the thing I just told him, right? She says, I finally figured out a way to communicate what I preferred. Quote, please give me a chance to miss you. Needy men really irk me. It's kind of like, how can I miss you if you don't go away? Exactly. Like, again, if you start to tap into the things that women need to emotionally feel in order to actually want to be with a guy, one of those things is she needs to feel the desire to want him around. But what guys take that is as, I need this guy to always be around. But no, she needs to feel the want. Like she needs to be able to sitting there saying, I really miss Harry. I really wish he was here. Oh, I so wish I could be with him right now. Like she needs to feel that. So when she's verbalizing that, She's saying, I'm feeling these things, and these are the feelings that I need to have in order to really build up attraction for him. And what guys are taking that as is she's saying she wants to be around me, so I got to call up and let her be around me right now. No. She needs to sit there and feel like she wants you, because that's going to make her believe and convince herself that she legitimately wants you beyond just this feeling, but in a relationship capacity. And when you don't leave room and space for that, you're taking out a very important part of the dating process that women need, which is the processing of their feelings to be able to come to the conclusion of their own accord that they want you in their life on a more permanent basis. Hey there, thanks for tuning in to Harry Dating Convos. Don't forget to visit HarryWilmington.com to download my free ebook, Texting Women Like a Boss. And while you're there, if you're ready to take things to the next level with your dating life, check out the Get Girls Academy membership program for exclusive strategies and live coaching. Go to HarryWilmington.com to learn more and join today. Lastly, if you've got a question you'd like answered on one of these shows, leave a comment below or write me at HarryWilmington@gmail.com. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.